Welcome to In the Cut, the show that gets you up close and personal with BN and our community. Everyone, or morning or evening, depending on where you are. Welcome to In the Cut, the show that gets you up close and personal with Black non-believers and our community. My name is Mandisa Thomas, founder and president, and I am your host with the most in the meantime. In the Cut is a production of Black Non-Believers, which is a 501c3 organization. Headquartered in the Atlanta area, we connect with other Blacks and allies who are living free of religion and might otherwise be shunned by family and friends by providing a caring, friendly, and informative community. Instead of accepting dogma, we determine truth and morality through reason and evidence. The mission of Black Non-Believers is to provide secular fellowship, nurture and support non-believers in coming out, also known as open identification, encourage pride in non-religious identities, educate the public on the history and current state of non-belief in the Black community, and organize events and charitable causes and charitable giving. You can find more at our website at BlackNonbelievers.org. The link will be shared in the chat. It's also in the description of the show and every show. And BN welcomes all regardless of age, gender identity, sexual identity, national origin, or racial identity. However, our work and our content prioritizes Black non-religious voices. I hope you all have been having a great summer. Just to give an update on our summer fundraising drive, which is still underway, I am very, very pleased to announce that we are almost at 75% of our summer goal, which is always $5,000. Of course, we would any time of the year is good to give to us, but the summertime jump starts our operations. These are just some of the things that your support, that your donations support, which is the platform that we use to host this show. Our own charitable giving. We support other individuals and organizations. We also, the scholarship, the Hurston Scholarship, in conjunction with the Secular Student Alliance, the period to apply for those scholarships it ended on July 31st. But we appreciate everyone who has supported us this year. And if you have tuned in and if you applied, good luck on that process. The scholarship winners will be announced in the very near future. You can definitely support via our website. We do have a Facebook campaign. We are on Cashapp at Black Nonbelievers. We also are enrolled in the PayPal Giving Fund, which allows for anonymous contributions if you so choose. All of those links will be shared in the chat. And again, your support matters because our advocacy and support for Black non-religious voices is always ongoing, and it's very, very important, especially in the various areas of activism and community service that we provide. And I had recently had the opportunity to participate in a counter protest, an abortion protest. It was a counter protest at a clinic in the Forest Park area of Atlanta. a few weeks ago. Shout out to Tina Marshall, who is over our Charlotte area affiliate. She's also the founder and leader of the Black Abortion Defense League. She does clinic support and clinic defendings, clinic escort. That work is not easy, and you have to deal with a lot of evangelicals talking down to the patients, and also talking down to people who support reproductive choice and reproductive justice. And we, as an organization, we've always supported that. And I am in talks with coordinating with the local Satanic Temple here in Atlanta. We are working on an event for the fall where we will be raising funds for local reproductive justice organizations that support primarily women of color, which there are a few down here. So just keeping all of that in mind, that we do more than just this show, we do more than just hang out, but it is always fun and a party with a purpose, if you will, not to take from Tom Joyner. Also, though, I would like to take a moment to pay tribute to a secular movement person who passed away recently, named Woody Kaplan. He was one of the founders of the Secular Coalition for America, and he was very, very instrumental in growing that organization, which is a member. It's a member coalition and a lobbying organization on Capitol Hill. But we are we are a member of the Secular Coalition. And I had the opportunity to speak with him on many occasions, most recently in February when I had to go attend a meeting up there. And he's always supportive and and encouraging, especially of the work that Black Nonbelievers does. He passed away on Thursday. He was the advisory board chair for the Secular Coalition. And the movement will miss him. I certainly appreciated and respected his activism over the years, not just in the secular movement, but also during the civil rights movement and other movements as well. So for those of you, he was mostly behind the scenes. But if you were in tune with any of the organizations at like the leadership level, you knew who he was. So just a quick shout out and tribute to him, and also just learn more about the work of the Secular Coalition for America, and learn more about the other organizations that are a part in addition to us. That link will be shared in the chat. They do very, very important work making sure that secular values and secular advocacy is seen in Washington, D.C. They are largely responsible for the formation of the Congressional Free Thought Caucus. For those of you who don't know who that is, it is a group of politicians and representatives that support secular values, and some of whom are also identify as atheists, humanists, free thinkers, etc. So this type of information is important. We do support it, especially as we also advocate for state-church separation. Prayer does not belong in schools. It does not belong in politics. Religion does not belong in public policy. So it is important that we continue to stay abreast of these situations, especially as we see them happening, and make our voices heard. So all of these things are important, and none of this would be, Woody was very, very instrumental in helping form this movement as we see it, even through the changes that we are experiencing. And even as an organization with Black Nonbelievers, we are also updating and making transitions of our own. And we are doing what we now call building back better. We are, still dealing with, again, the transitional phase. But as we do that and we reevaluate, we review our policies, we want to make sure that everyone's experience with us is fulfilling, worthwhile, educational, and challenging, because sometimes it is challenging for all of us. And if you are overcoming religious indoctrination in particular, sometimes new information and the ability to be objective and apply skepticism can be uncomfortable, but it is absolutely necessary. And it doesn't mean that it cannot be done in a very caring and supportive setting. So these things are very important to keep in mind as we continue on with our work. So we are definitely building back better at Black Nonbelievers. And I'm very, very happy to be here with you all. And I hope you are too. So now we are going to get the interview portion of our show started. It is my pleasure to welcome our special guest today, Frank Edwards. As an award-winning 5-time published children's book author, photographer, cinematographer, and graphic designer, Frank is a multi-talented creative with a passion for storytelling through a variety of mediums. Frank proudly identifies as a Pan-Africanist and an atheist who values reason, evidence, and the pursuit of knowledge. Having well into the hundreds, Frank is an avid collector of Black action figures, recognizing and celebrating the importance of representation and diversity in the world of toys and popular culture. His collection stands as a testament to his commitment to unapologetic Blackness. Right on. Music is another realm in which Frank finds an outlet. A true multi-instrumentalist, he dabbles in guitar, bass, drums, and keyboards. His passion for music knows no bounds, and he is dedicated to being a better audiophile than he is a musician. As a devoted homeschool dad, Frank takes great pride in providing an enriching and supporting learning environment for his children. His dedicated is meant to ensure that his children, whom I've met, they're so adorable, are given a well-rounded education that fosters critical thinking, creativity, and deep self-love. Frank's artwork has been featured in 2 museums at the Levine Museum of the New South in Charlotte, North Carolina, each being a testament to Frank's love for Black people, his artistic vision, and the ability to connect with audiences on a profound level. Frank's multidisciplinary approach to creativity fuels his desire to explore new horizons and create meaningful experiences for himself and his loved ones. Frank was also one of our speakers at Being's 5th anniversary celebration in 2016, which took place in Atlanta. That presentation is available on our YouTube channel if you look through our videos. Through his work and endeavors, Frank is hopeful to continue inspiring others to embrace their passion and love their true selves. Please welcome to the show, Frank Edwards.
Thank you. After the bio, I could just leave now. I could just go home.
No, you can't. So we definitely start with all of our guests. Please tell us about your background, your religious journey. Where you're from, how you ended up where you are now. Take it away.
All right. So I'm from Oakland, California. That's where I was raised at, and I spent some of my formative years in Southern California too. Shout out to the Antelope Valley, so like Lancaster, Palmdale. Those were my grandparents lived. And so I would often spend summers there, but primarily I was raised in Oakland. Religious background. So I'm a bit of a chameleon here because I was raised in Islam, but my grandparents were both Baptist ministers. And so every summer, literally every summer, when I would go out to their house, then I was Baptist for the summer. And so we would do all those things. This is where I developed my love for music. My grandmother was a piano teacher, so she taught me often against my will to play piano, and I learned to play drums and to have fun in church. But so that was my religious background. Oddly enough, that's also how I ended up leaving religion, was because I was split down the middle. Like at home, my father was a devout Muslim, and so there was that. And then during the summer, then I was like also Christian, and so there were some differences that I had to wrestle with, and then ultimately, I just kind of came out of my phase. Oddly enough, by I was punished. I was made to copy the Bible. So I went to a summer camp one year, and ended up having a fight with this kid and got kicked out of this little white boy. He was I was, matter of fact, I was like one of three black kids at this whole camp, and this little white boy kept pushing my button and pushing my button. And then one day he called me like a nigger or something, or matter of fact, I think he called me like a porch monkey or something like that. Whatever it was, it was a fight worthy offense. So he got the beat down. I got ejected from the camp, and my grandfather had to come get me, and he was pissed. And so, as a punishment, he made me write the Bible. I had to like copy it. And so while I was doing that, I was like, "This shit sounds crazy." So there. Oh, can I say shit? Excuse me. I don't know. Sorry, but I was like, "Yo, this is wild." And so in the back of my mind, I know like, "Yo, I don't believe this." And but for me, the problem was that I had so much more fun in Christian church than I did at the masjid. So it was like I really wanted to lean in that direction because there was like girls there and they had, like sundresses and stuff like that. Whereas in the mosque, that definitely wasn't happening. So I tried to like lean in that direction, but uh, ultimately that was what started me on my journey of being more reasonable and thinking more critically.
Awesome. And so, were there any parts of the Bible in particular that really stood out for you that were just like, oh no, this is complete bullshit? And also, like, what about Islam? Did you compare and contrast the two religions, perhaps seeing some similarities and differences? What was that? If there was like a aha moment, what was that?
So as far as Christianity goes, my aha moment was let us make a man in our own image and likeness. And then I was like, who's talking? Because I always thought, you know, there was a God and he made everything. So who is he talking to? So that was my first like inclination that something was wrong here. And then I think I made it to about Deuteronomy where there's all these weird rules and what you can eat and what you can't eat and all that sort of thing felt oddball to me. And I can remember specifically having a conversation with my grandfather, who again is a minister. Like he literally had his own church, and every day he would come home and he would check my writing, my copying, to be sure that I had done the work for the day. And he would read it and check it, and if it was anything wrong, like he would tear that page up, and I had to do it over again. But I came to um, and I can't remember the address, but there was a part in the Bible where in the mouth of Jesus, he was talking and he was saying, who, what is the address? I'm trying to remember the context. It's been so long now, but either way, Jesus said that he didn't come to change any of the law from the Bible, but that he came to fulfill it. And that shocked me because there was so much barbarism, like, stone this person, kill this kid, sell this person, slavery's okay, all these kind of things. And I'm like, yo, my man is cool with this. Like, he didn't come to change any of this. Because again, I'd always had a preconceived notion that he came to change everything. And the New Testament was like this new deal and this, that, and the third. So I asked my grandfather about it. I was like, yo, you know, he said right here, he didn't come to change anything. And my grandfather was pissed at me for asking that question and told me that God moved in mysterious ways and that, it wasn't for us to try to understand. And I just said, I knew like the rest of this was bullshit. So I just kind of fluffed it off after that.
You know, I find it very amazing and also astounding that when you challenge the personal beliefs, especially of our elders, that they are so hard line when it comes to our development, but when we actually exercise that and
Right.
challenge what they deeply believe, it's like, oh, it's almost like a deer in the headlights. I can
Yeah.
just imagine the look on his face when you asked him that.
It was a glowering look. Let me just tell you. Yeah, I remember that day. And then as it relates to Islam, my dad was not the type of person that so first of all, let me explain a little bit. So my dad is like easily one of the most influential people in my entire life, right? Like he's literally like a hero for me and brilliant. My dad is brilliant. But he's also not the type of person that you like quibble with. Like as a kid, you don't go back and forth with this guy. Like he's just whatever he says is what it is. And you can have your own private thoughts if he allows it, but he's certainly not open for debate or any sort of like conversation like that. So um in comparing the Quran with the Bible, there's certainly similarities in Islam and Christianity. Like nobody can deny that. And so I think just kind of as an overlap, I was like, yo, I don't believe none of this. And so but I kind of kept it quiet. Like I was very secretive about it because again, my dad was not the type that you really come to and have that sort of conversation. But I can remember the day when I was grown, like I was already out of his, well, I wasn't grown, but he kicked me out already. And so when I was already out of his house is when I admitted to him that I didn't believe Islam either. So that conversation was wild, and we didn't talk for like almost 2 years behind it. And so, this is one of those things.
And that's interesting because he clearly broke away from Christianity, which is what he was raised in.
Right.
Did he ever talk about why he decided to pursue Islam over Christianity? And what sect of Islam was it? Nation of Islam? Was it like the Five Percenters, or like Sunni, or anything like that?
Yeah. So he was an Orthodox Muslim, definitely the House of Sunni. And
Mhm.
so for him, it was, but he came to Islam through the nation. So it was a political thing for him as well as a religious thing. And so as a black nationalist, I think that he found some solace in the nation. And but he was also a huge fan of Malcolm. And so I think that Malcolm splitting from the nation gave him some sort of insight as to maybe he should look into things a little bit differently. And then that's how he came to what I'm referring to as Orthodox Islam. And so yeah, so I think it was a rejection. His rejection of Christianity was based in rejecting the white like power structure and what that meant. And so for him, it was an awakening as far as tying together religion and politics, and that's where he began. That's certainly not where he ended, because at this point, he's not a practicing Muslim at all. He's like this weird hodgepodge of like he says I'm spiritual or whatever, which I don't know what that means, but yeah, that's where he's at now.
Do you think your atheism and your rejection of all of it may have had something to do with it? Because parents may not admit that. They may not admit that to their children, even after they're grown. Because with him being, and I grew up in the Black nationalist community, Black conscious community. There was so much in the way of revolution and resistance, and so you have to kind of understand and respect when your children do it. But some parents, personally might not be willing to accept that at first.
Right.
So I find that very, very interesting. And I'm always looking to, as parents ourselves, right? We're always looking to see how we can grow,
Right.
as well as, as well as in addition to raising our children. So I have to wonder if that might have, even if it was shocking to him at first, maybe he learned something along the way from you.
I'll tell you what, if that is the case, it'll probably go with him to his grave, because if you ever met him, you would understand why I'm saying that. Like, my dad is never going to admit that. He's going to be like, no, I came to these conclusions on my own or whatever. But it's likely that that was the case. But yeah, he ain't ever going to admit it. I can tell you that much.
Are we talking typical male stuff? No, I'm just kidding. We're not gonna get into I'm just messing with you. So tell our viewers about the children's book series that you did. What was the name and what was the inspiration?
So the name of the children's book series that I wrote was it's called Jupiter Strong, and Jupiter like the planet, strong like strength. And so there were 5 books in the series, and the inspiration for the series kind of came about actually from my daughter Anissa. I was in her room one day and just kind of looking around, and I was like, okay, and just kind of take an assessment of what's going on. I'm totally a helicopter dad, like everybody who knows me will tell you. Like, if I turn around, my daughters are right next to me, they're in my pocket all the time. Like, so but this particular day, my daughter was talking to me and she asked me, she said, Daddy, when am I going to get my princess hair? I was like, princess hair, what are you talking about? And she said, like, when is my hair going to turn yellow and hang down? Blew my mind and broke my heart. I said, wow, that was something that I needed to address. So looking around, I was kind of guilty because I was looking around in the room and I was like, yo, there's all these Disney princesses and this, that, and the third. And I was programming her with the wrong idea. So I literally threw all that shit out, like everything. She even had a clock on the wall with like all the, I took that down, like everything was gone. And so I went on a mission to try to replace all of those, like kid items, dolls and blankets and pillowcases and all that kind of stuff with things that would be more affirming for her and more edifying for her. And I found very little. Like, I found like the Proud Family and the Princess and the Frog, and that was about it. And the Proud Family was out of bounds for me. So I was like, wow. So I saw it as an opportunity to create something that she could identify with and hopefully would resonate with other children. And so came up with the Jupiter Strong idea with myself and my creative partner at the time. And we put out the first book in the series, which was called Jupiter Strong and the Lunch Lion. And it just kind of blew up. And I was not expecting it, as my dog photobombs me and barges into the room. But so the response from the first book was volcanic. And so 4 more books were born, and we started doing a cartoon series, but ultimately we ended up closing the doors on Jupiter Strong because of some behind the scenes stuff that was going on. But it was a very, very good time as far as being able to travel around and read to the children and just seeing the impact that it was able to make. I feel very fortunate. And even as the author and the creator of the series, it was like, it really wasn't my series. It kind of really belonged to the children. And just seeing the amount of impact and the faces and the parents, like, right? Like, when I would go around, or oftentimes, like, we're real heavy on Facebook at the time. Like, it was a real community. And so it's one of those things where it's like, I'll always look back on that time in my life very fondly. I'm very, very, very proud of that work. And so, yeah, that's what the Jupiter Strong series was about. It was literally about Black love.
Awesome. Do you see yourself perhaps creating another version of Jupiter Strong, or perhaps expanding on it in the future?
No, I think it's one of those things where it's better left to live as it was, and be able to look back on it fondly. I am in the process of writing a new series. This is not it's not a children's series by any stretch. It's definitely it's a graphic novel series that I'm working on. It's called The Retaliate, and so that will be another outlet for me because I just, again, as a storyteller, it's just what I'm here to do. I've got to do that. So, but no, I think Jupiter will just kind of stay what it was, and I'll be able to look back at that and just enjoy it.
Awesome. And that is perfectly fine because writing can be difficult. Writing can be a
Yeah,
challenge. And
yeah,
creating that, I think people are used to seeing the end result, but they don't realize the work that comes along with it. And so
exactly.
I totally understand. So you are a photographer.
Hmm.
I've posted your website in the chat there.
Oh, thank you.
Your work has been featured in the museums in Charlotte. Why is your photography work so important for showcasing Black beauty, history, and pride?
Wow, that's a multi-layered question. I'm gonna kind of try to take it to, well, one layer at a time. So the first time I ever picked up a camera professionally, anyway, like I was obviously a hobbyist before, but the first paying job I ever had as a photographer, I was taking pictures of a dead guy for an attorney, and apparently it was a part of the case. This guy had died accidentally, and they needed a bunch of photos to go forth in the trial. And so, what was shocking to me in that when I was doing that job was like the this is terrible. I'm sorry, but the quality of the photos weren't like what I wanted it to be, right? And I feel terrible saying that because this guy is dead here, and I'm taking his photos, and I'm thinking about the quality of it. But it really made me want to figure out what was going on and why the photos didn't look exactly the way that I wanted them to look. And what I came across and learned was that uh, pretty much all cameras from the factory are designed to take pictures of white people in terms of like the color space and how they operate. And so you really have to like dial in your settings and take into account how black people look being recorded digitally versus how white people look or fairer skinned people look. And so that fascinated me. And so I really wanted to laser focus on taking beautiful photos of black people because I felt like it was a thumb in the eye sort of to the status quo, right? Like you send out these cameras we're spending thousands of dollars on and lenses where we're spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on, and it was like a challenge to me. Like, okay, I'm gonna definitely take care of making beautiful pictures for black people, and so it kind of just kind of was another tool in my bag for me to be a storyteller. So if I can tell the story visually, and what I came to find out is like this camera is a powerful tool, and it has literally taken me all over the country. And it's almost like a time machine as well. It's taken me back into time in the future, and so it's something that I've really come to embrace as a medium, and I'm pretty good at it. So I have a good time with it, and I take it very seriously. Also, another thing that came to mind is also as a cinematographer, right? Like sometimes where you might be looking for stock footage of a certain scenario, and when you look into to see the stock footage, like we're not represented well, and so that was something that was also high on my priority list. Was like just making sure that we are able to wrest away the control of our image and likeness. But yeah, it's important to be able to have stunning images of black people just for posterity, if nothing else.
When you say that, that just put me in the mind of Gordon Parks, famed
Mhm.
author, famed photographer, and
Right.
he took fantastic
Absolutely.
images of Black folks, especially back in the. He took some iconic photos.
Absolutely.
Do you take from people like him and other Black photographers historically? Do you find inspiration in their work as well?
Absolutely. I think that anybody who is in a creative space, uh, whether you're creative or not, right? Everyone is inundated by inspiration 24/7 from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep. and probably even when you're dreaming, you're susceptible to inspiration. And I think the people who are fortunate enough to be able to use that inspiration and tool it in a way that you can create something else, are the people who are lucky. And so, yeah, I definitely, anybody who's out there and they're working and their work is amazing, I'm definitely stealing from whatever it is they're doing and trying to put my own twist on it for sure.
Be careful about saying the words. No, I'm just kidding.
I know, right? Yeah,
So when you like Black communities, Black empowerment is very, very important to you, and I've
absolutely.
known this as long as I've known you. um can we talk a bit about like Black economics and why it is important for us to continue to invest in ourselves, to invest in those of the individuals and organizations that center Blackness. And also, and I'm kind of making up this question here on the spot, so forgive
No,
me
let's
for this.
freestyle. Let's do it.
Yeah. So, how is it that we, as especially as Black secular folk, can continue to help empower Black and individuals and communities, um, to continue to support each other economically, and also with a more free thinking and skepticism and evidence based lens, because that's important to us.
Yeah, for sure. I would say that the Oakland in me, the answer is you pay it like you weigh, and basically that means like where you focus and your where you focus your dollars is where you focus your attention. It's like, you know, if we don't support each other financially, and I'm talking about literally, likes are good and shares are good, but I'm talking about money. If we don't support each other with money, who will? To me, it's as simple as that. And so, Black empowerment definitely 100% has to have a financial arm to it, because other than that, there's no teeth. If all we're talking about is, feeling Black and being proud of being Black, and this, that, and the third, that's one thing, and all those are important, but we have to be able to consolidate our money and our spending power. And so at the end of the day, it just comes down to being intentional about the support. Like, don't look for things to support, like actively look for them. And so if we're not doing that, we're hustling backwards, period. End of the day, if we're not actively looking for Black organizations that we can share our effort with and we can share our cash with, then we're hustling backwards, period. It's as simple as that. And so for me, it's about, I'm not going to be here forever, and what kind of world am I going to leave for my children, and what kind of world are we going to leave for the other, for all of our Black children. And so to me, it's like, it's a no-brainer. It's something that we have to be highly focused on, and that's part of the reason why I do what I do, because what I've noticed, the spending habits of Black people is like, we'll spend money on entertainment. Believe it or not, like, yo, we if we find some value in whatever the entertainment is, we will definitely spend on that. And so, uh, positioning myself as someone in the entertainment sphere, it's important to me to be able to, there's an intersection, right? So I see myself. I'm obviously a Pan Africanist, a nationalist. So I see myself as in that lane, and then I'm marrying that with the entertainment sphere, and so there's like a little circulation of money. But then it's my goal to go and recirculate that money into something else. And so, yeah, economically, it should be job one, to support each other and to actively go and find organizations that you can support.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with you there. People don't understand, institutionally, we've always been at a disadvantage. And some of that is internal. And that is something that as a community we must unpack,
Right.
and see how we can at least, work through that. So Tell us about the museum. Tell us about the exhibits where your photography was featured in Charlotte. What were the exhibits and what was the story behind them?
So the first exhibit is one is called We Are Brooklyn. And so automatically when you say Brooklyn, most people think about the famous Brooklyn, New York. But here in Charlotte, there was a small city called Brooklyn. And in that area, there was an affluent Black community, and it was a thriving Black community. And so essentially, there was some urban development that was going to happen in Charlotte. There was the federal government at this time was throwing around money for urban renewal, is what they were calling it. And so Charlotte wanted to take advantage of that money. And so they went in and aggressively gentrified the Brooklyn area and ran those people out of their properties. There were literally lynchings. There was all kind of stuff that happened to sort of ethnically cleanse that area. And now that area is the most affluent part of Charlotte. It's where the Bank of America Stadium is, where the Panthers play. It's the headquarters of Bank America, Wells Fargo, uh, NASCAR's there. Like that whole little area was once a thriving Black place, and they've tried to hide the history of Brooklyn. And so I went in and I was able to interview and photograph people who were living history. They were a part of that, whether it was their parents or grandparents. And in one case, there was a woman was able to photograph. She was 100 years old, and but she was a whip. When I'm telling you that this woman had all her faculties, even at 100, and she told a fantastic story, and I literally felt transported. And just listening to her, I was like, wow, like she put me there, right? And so but yeah, I was able to take photos of all these people, and they were telling their stories about what that area looked like, and what it is today versus what it was then, and really just bring to the forefront what that history was about. And so I felt amazing being able to document that. I was very, very proud of that work. And so that was the first exhibit. The second exhibit that I worked on with them, sort of a similar theme, but this one was about Greer Heights, and it was also a very older Black community, and it had a rich history. I'm talking about, like, it blew my mind hearing the stories from these people. And so I interviewed them and documented the stories about Greer Heights, and I was able to go to like an old schoolhouse there and take photos of the old schoolhouse and take photos of the people. There was a woman that I interviewed there, and this was probably my favorite interview. Yeah, I could say that. Probably my favorite interview of this uh, exhibit. Her last name is Belk, Belk, and she, if you're in the North Carolina area, you'll recognize that name because there's like a Belk department store, and it's a very, very rich, affluent family, right? And so she's sitting there, this very fair-skinned, old, elderly Black woman. She's telling the story, and her last name being Belk. It's very obvious why her last name is Belk, right? And so she talked a little bit about that, but the reason why her story was so important to me is because she told her story through the lens of her father, and she talked about how uh, what an incredible man her dad was, and how he built uh, housing literally from rock, and how he barely had like a second, third grade education, but he figured out how to be a stonemason and build apartments that they would still be standing today if they didn't knock them down. That's the type of craftsmanship. But they built an entire community around this particular area, and it was just fascinating to me. And so to be able to document that and really put forth this part of history in a way that is dignifying, that's the important part, because if we don't tell our story in a dignifying way, somebody else will tell it from their lens. And that is not at all the move. Like, I want to make sure that when we tell our story, we tell it in a dignifying way that will be worthwhile the actual events.
And on that, I have nothing else to add. That was absolutely amazing. We look forward to seeing in more exhibits that you will be a part of. We definitely have to have you back on the show.
Indeed.
Thank you so much for being our guest today. Folks, please visit Frank's website, realshutter.com. The link has been shared on the screen and in the chat. And also follow Frank on Instagram at Real Shutter. So definitely, I'm just going to put you backstage, Frank, while we close out the show. Thank you once again for being here. It was amazing having you on. Good to see you again, especially after all these years. So
Indeed. Listen, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate the invite. And I could have been doing anything today, but I said, yo, when Mandisa calls, you just go.
thank you. Gosh, that is such a that's such a breath of fresh air, right?
Indeed.
But I certainly appreciate that. Thank you so much. Well, folks, once again, please follow Frank on Instagram at Real Shutter and check out his website at realshutter.com. So we don't have any active events taking place this month. Of course, we will continue to keep you updated as we have new events and as we post future shows. Do tune in to the Women Atheists Unload show on the Skeptic Haven channel at 4:30 p.m. Cynthia McDonald will be one of the hosts of the show. As you know, Cynthia is over our Chicago affiliate. So please do check it out. And being is as a part of our Building Back Better. We are currently seeking new board members. So if you are enthusiastic, dedicated, you've been in tune with the organization for a while, and you like to have fun while working, please do apply. That link will be shared in the chat again. Also, if you are, as always, if you are looking for a great gift to give at any time of the year, pick up a copy of Name Dropping, the frustratingly fun movie trivia card game that was co-created by a new board member and former ITC guest Deanna Williams and her best friend Jesus Reyna. You can find that at namedropping.com, and that link will be dropped in the chat as well. Once again, thank you for tuning into In the Cut this Saturday. We hope you enjoyed the show and that you will join us again. As a reminder, we air every first and third Saturday of each month. Please don't forget to like this video and spread the word. Follow us on Facebook at Black Nonbelievers, Instagram at Be Nonbelievers Inc. We are still on Twitter at Be Nonbelievers, where the B and the N are capitalized. Not only are we asking you to like this video, please do subscribe to this YouTube channel. We are still getting closer and closer to being monetized. The more you watch our videos, the more hours you spend watching it, the quicker you get us to that opportunity where we can where you can drop some cash into super chat. So we definitely appreciate everyone who has tuned in so far and who has watched videos. Also, do find your local Be an Affiliate on Meetup or join all of them. You can find our affiliates on our website at BlackNonbelievers.org. And we are always looking for new team leaders. So then there is a form to fill out on our website. Please do consider volunteering to become an affiliate leader with Black Nonbelievers. And of course, last but not least, please do make your tax-deductible donation at BlackNonbelievers.org. Once again, we are a 501c3 organization, so donations to us are tax-deductible to the fullest extent of the law. We are in compliance with both the Internal Revenue Service and the state of Georgia Secretary of State's office. So please do know that we are always in compliance with federal and state guidelines to make sure that we are showing that we are a viable organization and that we are doing the work that we say we are doing. And also, if you want to represent being even more, you can get your swag, shirts, hoodies, mugs, shot glasses, and more from our online store. That link will be shared in the chat. And also, if you are attending Dragon Con this year, which is always Labor Day weekend, we will be there. I will be speaking at the Skep Track, and we will be tabling near the Skep Track at the Hilton Hotel. So please do check us out there if you will be in Atlanta Labor Day weekend. So thank you all very much. Take care, and we'll see you next time.